Hello everyone, my name is Frank DiMora. I'm the author of the book, The Last Chronicles of Planet Earth. It's a documentary on Bible prophecy and current events that you can go to my website, prophecy website, the End Times Research Ministry. When you get there, you can download my book today for free. This is what it looks like. You'll see the front and back cover of the book, and right below it, you'll find a link to the book just like this. So this is, of course, not the newest book, not the newest edition, because I'm bringing you to my older site. And the reason why I am bringing you to my older site that you see here, BibleProphecyMan.com, and that site is still up, but most of my posting is done at my new prophecy site. I wanted to bring to your attention one of the warnings, one of the many warnings that I've been giving about Israel and Iran and the United States. And this particular warning came out February the 5th of 2014. Now let me bring you down. Now in this article back then, I was talking about how the President of the United States has been stabbing Israel in the back. Now since the beginning of the year 2014, most of you probably saw many of the news articles showing the disdain that President Barack Obama has for Israel. And it's continued on and it's getting worse. Now, what I wanted to do is to show you what I wrote about the Iranian project that Iran has been trying to finish so that they can have a nuclear weapon to use against the Israelis. The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has said many, many times that Israel will stop Iran because nobody else will. So we're still on that path because nobody in the past 5 years has done really much at all to curtail nuclear weapons coming out of Iran. Now this is what I wrote. I'm going to just quote myself. Anyone who has been with me at my site for the past 5 years has heard me say over and over again these past 5 years that President Obama will do nothing to stop the Iranians from finishing their quest in getting hold of a nuclear weapon which Iran would use against Israel. You may have heard Obama say he supports Israel, but by now you should have seen this is a lie because case after case we see how Obama keeps stabbing Israel in the back. The news today is just another example of who Obama really is supporting. Iran has not stopped their threats in destroying Israel, so why is Obama taking side with Iran, the enemy of Israel? You would think that if Obama was really a friend and ally with Israel, that he would do whatever he could to stop Iran's nuclear program. Now that was only one of my many, many warnings about what was going to happen in the future. Now I want you to take a look at the headlines that just came out. Obama wrote secret letter to Iran's Khamenei about fighting Islamic State. Now one thing that certainly has not changed since President Barack Hussein Obama was elected. We know that his stance against Israel has remained the same. We know this how? Well, number one, the President of the United States has only been to Israel once in the whole time that he has been President of the United States. And of course, any president that wanted to really form a peace agreement would obviously go to the nation that he's trying to get peace in, Israel, more than just one time. Of course, that hasn't happened. I want to settle one thing right now so that everybody understands. The stance between Israel and Iran has not changed at all. Iran still, to this day, November the 7th of 2014, considers Israel an enemy and wants to wipe out the nation of Israel. Nothing has changed. So now in this new article that came out November the 7th of 2014, you'll see World News, we see that a secret letter was written to the leader of Iran, Iran's Khamenei, about fighting the Islamic State. So what we have, and what we're seeing, and I'm going to be playing a video for you, we see the President of the United States hooking up with Israel's enemy. For whatever reason, that's not a good thing, considering the curse that comes against anyone who curses Israel. And obviously, any nation that says that they want to destroy the nation of Israel have fallen under the curse. So if you have another nation's leader going over with the person or the country that wants to destroy Israel, you partake in that curse. There's no doubt about it. And so there's a lot of talk right now about the secret letter. Let me play this and then I'll come back.
President Obama secretly reached out to Iran's top political and religious leader over their shared interest in fighting the Islamic State militant group. People familiar with the overture are saying Mr. Obama wrote a letter to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei seeking cooperation in battling the Islamic State. But that cooperation depends on striking an agreement on Tehran's nuclear program. For more on this exclusive story, we're joined by Wall Street Journal Washington Bureau Chief Jerry Seib. Jerry, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
So the president has reached out to Khamenei before. He's never gotten a response. Is there any reason to think that this time could be different?
You know, you don't know, but the circumstances are certainly different now. What's happened, what makes it different is the fact that there is a perceived and real and widely recognized common interest between the U.S. and Iran now, which is fighting Islamic State. That's never existed before. You know, Iran sees Islamic State, which is a radical Sunni movement, next door in Iraq and next door in Syria, as a threat to the Shiite government of Iran. Their enemies. The U.S. sees the same threat, particularly in Iraq, from Islamic State. There's a shared interest. I think what the president's probably doing here is doing two things. A, trying to stress to the Iranians that the U.S. sees this as a shared interest, that the two countries should and could work together on, at least implicitly. And B, as you suggested, to say, our ability to do that with you is going to be dependent on whether we can reach an agreement on your nuclear program. Because if that blows up at the end of the month, which is the deadline for reaching a nuclear deal, there are going to be recriminations potentially on both sides. It then will be hard to pursue a common strategy, or at least an implicitly a common path in addressing this common threat if we're arguing with each other about something as big as your nuclear program.
Now, I've made it known, I don't know how many times, 100 times or so in the past 3 or 4 years, that the President of America making any kind of concessions to Iran to enable them to keep running their nuclear quest for power, which the Iranians, they're going to use that, obviously, against Israel. This is a dangerous posture to be taking. And Barack Obama knows that if Iran continues to have the nuclear weapons or the nuclear fuel, that they will eventually get a hold of a bomb that the Iranians, who said that they're going to use against Israel. So making any kind of alliance whatsoever with Iran is a very bad thing to do when it comes to relations between God and man, and the curse falling on those people who are coming against the nation of Israel, just like we see in the curse in Genesis. I'll bless those that bless you, and I'll curse those that curse you. So let me now bring you to a news report from Fox News, and it talks about making a deal with Iran and how bad it is when it comes to relations with Israel.
Katie McFarland is a Fox News national security analyst and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense under President Ronald Reagan. So you know your stuff. Thank you so much for joining us today. So this is not just raising eyebrows amongst the lawmakers. A lot of people hearing this thinking, what are we doing negotiating with Iran? And you say that no deal is better than a bad deal.
Yeah. And here's the thing. The president has wanted a deal with Iran all along, and that's good. A deal with Iran would be terrific. But not a deal that sacrifices Israel, sacrifices our Sunni allies, allows Iran to get nuclear weapons, and allows Iran...
Now, she said sacrifice Israel. Now, anyone who knows Bible prophecy knows that Iran is going to make an attempt to wipe out the nation of Israel. We see this from Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, when they hook up with the Russians to invade Israel, or make an attempt to invade Israel. So, let me go on with the video.
a nuclear Iran to become the dominant power in the region. Why? Iran on a regular basis says we'd like to exterminate the state of Israel. Iran has said time and again that it wants to run the whole region. And so an Iran which is nuclear empowered, or threshold nuclear state,
which we've tried to reach an agreement with them for 6 years now. So how and why would this be any different?
This isn't going to be a different. What it is Iran has centrifuges to enrich uranium. And in this deal, reportedly, Iran is basically going to say, we're going to unplug it for a while. But no guarantee that they won't replug it back in. So the deal that the president's about to agree to, without congressional approval, presumably, is to say to Iran, with a wink and a nod, you're going to pretend to stop your nuclear program, and we're going to pretend to believe you. But everybody in the region is going to know Iran will be a nuclear power.
And specifically talk about Israel and what this does to them again.
Well, here's what it is. Israel's now surrounded, right? It's surrounded by unfriendly countries. Iran supports a lot of those terrorist, unfriendly groups, Hezbollah, for example. Part of this letter that President Obama apparently wrote gave a sort of, again, a wink and a nod to the Iranians to say, you can keep your terrorist groups in the region. You can keep your relationship with Assad. We're not going to go after Assad. We're going to let you kind of run the show, including with your sock puppet government in Baghdad, which is the new Iraqi government, which is very close to the Iranian
and the other Arab countries in the area also expressing their displeasure that this has been going on behind the scenes.
Sure, because we're trying to convince. See, the Middle East is so complicated. They're friends, they're enemies, they're frenemies, and they all switch around. But basically, this is a fight between Shiites and Sunnis. We have tried to get the Sunnis to work with us to defeat ISIS.
So by supporting Iran, we're therefore supporting Shiites.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I have to ask you this question. And you always wonder about the timing of these type of announcements and these leaks that are...
So there you have it, out of the mouth of analysts who've been working with different presidents, that any deal that joins the Iranians is a mark against Israel. And this has been the pattern for President Barack Hussein Obama ever since he's been placed in office. But let us understand this. Everything that you're watching taking place in the news now is leading in the direction to fulfill prophecy. And this prophecy in Ezekiel chapter 38 definitely shows us that Iran is going to make an attempt against Israel. Now, we also know, get this, that if you read Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, you'll see that it looks like a nuclear weapon was detonated in the Middle East. But of course, we don't know for sure, but the outcome is that Israel is going to win this war, not because of the instruments of war that Israel maintains today, which is also involving nuclear weapons, but we do know that God intervenes in this war and fights this war for Israel. So whatever it happens, whether it looks like a nuclear blast or not, it just may be that Iran gets a hold of nuclear weapons. And during that event in the Ezekiel war, they try to use these weapons against Israel, but it backfires and God uses their own weapons on the enemies that are attacking Israel. That is a good possibility. But one thing we know is the events are going right to the fulfillment of those prophecies. Keep on alert, because this generation is going to see a few more wars that are very, very influential into fulfilling Bible prophecy concerning Israel and the Middle East. And of course, it's going to affect the entire world. This is Frank DiMora from the End Times Research Ministry, saying thank you for allowing me to come into your home and to connect the dots between what you're watching on the news and what Jesus tells us is going to happen in the near future. If you'd like a prophecy seminar, you can email me at fjdemora@gmail.com. God bless.